If you grew up in the 80s and 90s, chances are you've heard of the director John McTiernan. Let's name a few of his movies that defined action films. We've got Die Hard, Predator, Die Hard with a Vengeance, and yes, Last Action Hero.
Ha! You did not gonna say that, did you?
That's what you always say.
I do?
He has also made some other great films, like The Thomas Crown Affair and The Hunt for Red October. But with every great film comes a couple stinkers, such as Medicine Man, The 13th Warrior, and Basic. But what if I told you that there's a film he directed that was the catalyst to him ending up in prison? Sounds crazy, right? But it's true. Today, we're here to look at Rollerball, a movie that's word of mouth is so bad you'd think we would have covered it on our Awfully Good channel. But alas, this will be the first time we dive in. So sit back, relax, and take it all in as we check out what the happened to Rollerball.
Balls away, it's Rollerball!
To begin, let's jump back to the late 90s. John is well on his way to making his new big film, The Thomas Crown Affair. It's here he strikes up the idea of wanting to remake Rollerball. Now, for those of you that don't know, this movie isn't an original idea. It was originally made in 1975 starring James Caan. The film is set in a dystopian future where global corporations have replaced national governments. The film centers on Jonathan E., a superstar player of the violent sport Rollerball. The game, designed to demonstrate the futility of individualism, becomes a tool of control. Jonathan's fame and individual prowess threaten the corporate agenda, leading executives to pressure him to retire. As he resists, the game's rules are made increasingly lethal, culminating in a final match with no penalties or time limits. Despite these efforts, Jonathan's defiance and survival in the ultimate game challenge the corporate bigwigs, symbolizing a stand against corporate domination. For what it's worth, that sounds like a pretty good movie. It's something that feels right to have been made back in the 70s, but how would a remake work with the 2000s crowd? Well, let's think about it. X Games, extreme sports, those were becoming very popular around that time.
Check it out, Extreme Center!
John had a proven track record where he can make most things he created turn to gold. As stated before, he would begin working on the script in the late 90s. The first draft was considered great, even surpassing the original film, but John wasn't a fan of it, preaching social commentary. John then unleashed his action prowess and thought audiences would want to see more scenes involving Rollerball, right? So, after multiple rewrites, he made sure it included weird costumes, stunts, and felt like something straight out of the WWE, as well as give it an underdog-driven story.
It'll be just like high school. You run our block. Besides, it's a place where even a doofus-ass white boy like you can get laid.
Is that right? That's right.
When it came time for casting, John wanted to strike a balance between honoring the original film's spirit, but also appeal to contemporary audiences. The main role of Jonathan Cross, the name changed from Jonathan E. for whatever reason, was originally offered to Keanu Reeves. He would turn it down, and the role went to Chris Klein from American Pie.
Sorry, Coach.
You got someplace more important to be, Ostriker?
Yeah.
Ostriker!
Oz? Face?
His youthful charm and athleticism were exactly what John envisioned for the main character. Next up was LL Cool J as Marcus Ridley, Jonathan's friend and mentor in the Rollerball world.
Oh my God, honey's at 4 o'clock. Yes, lady, Sir Ridley's in the house.
American horses, right?
Absolutely, and hung like one.
Rebecca Romaine was also cast in the film. While her role was pivotal to the plot, she comes off more as a mere romantic interest. To round out the cast, we have Jean Reno and Naveen Andrews.
The basic rules in this sort of thing is that you must never kill a tyrant unless you made an arrangement with his successor. You do see what I mean, don't you?
Production on the film only lasted 15 weeks, from July to November 2000. Principal photography took place in Montreal, Canada, as well as Wyoming, San Francisco, and Almaty, Kazakhstan. The choice of locations was influenced by the need to create a futuristic and visually striking backdrop for the film's dystopian setting. Montreal provided urban landscapes and modern architecture, while Kazakhstan offered unique and exotic scenery that added to the film's otherworldly atmosphere. Additionally, some interior scenes were filmed on sound stages to create the immersive world of rollerball's high-stakes sport. John McTiernan sought to infuse rollerball with a frenetic energy and visual dynamism that would captivate audiences. To achieve this, he employed fast-paced editing, dynamic camera work, and updated the sport with more extreme stunts and visual effects.
Jonathan, we heard you in a rock climbing accident. Are you all right?
Yeah. You know me, I'm hard to hurt.
In May of 2001, when it was time to screen the film, test audiences would respond negatively. The film's first cut was over 2 hours long, so MGM, the film's distributor, would move the release date to July 13th of that year. They would give another go with test screenings to hopefully find the right audience. After that first test screening disaster, Harry Knowles, an infamous critic from Ain't It Cool News, was invited by McTiernan to view the film in Long Island. In his review of the original cut, he said that the movie was bad, as well as it being a hard R film with much nudity and some brutal violence in the sports scenes. He stated, quote, "The rollerball edit I saw was one of the worst films I'd seen in my life. There was jeering in the theater," end quote. Fun fact about Knowles is that he was one of the people who read the original first draft of the script, which John rejected, and said that it was an amazing script, which solved all of the problems of the original film. Following all of the negative test screenings, MGM requested for reshoots and re-edits to take place, reducing the film to a PG-13 rating. This was so to get a wider audience to see it, but at the time, a new head of marketing was put into place at MGM. He had asked John to move the 2001 summer release date in favor for a better film. This would allow for more time to devise a better marketing strategy as well. Instead of August 2001, the movie would get pushed to February 2002. If you've ever followed box office reports from the 2000s, as well as through the middle of the 2010s, you will know that January and February film releases would be considered dump months. That means unless it's a holdover film that was up for awards or a film to coincide with Valentine's Day, it would be in for a huge disaster to even make a dent in the box office. Towards the end of 2001, John would shoot 2 weeks of new footage and cut down on both violence and nudity.
Before we continue with our video, here's a reminder to click the store tab on any of our JoBlo channels and browse our collection of the latest and freshest designs in our merch store. Go get you some.
The original score, composed by Brian Transow, was removed because it sounded too Arabic. He would be replaced by Luc Besson's collaborator Eric Serra. Eric would add a new score, while some of the songs that were originally included for the soundtrack would also be removed or changed. Strangely, the score would be the only one that was released for purchase, and not the soundtrack. The soundtrack included some true bangers, including songs from POD, Rob Zombie, Slipknot, who make an appearance in the film, Drowning Pool, and Godsmack.
Like, it's like, what if
Slipknot
Fury
is
Road had
in
come out?
the
Slipknot
movie.
is in the film.
Is in the movie.
Well,
Did
Slipknot
you see Pink in the movie?
They must have right away been like, if Slipknot don't sign on, cancel the film. Like, they are the first phone call we make.
Executive consultants.
Rollerball released to theaters on February 8th, 2002. On its opening weekend, it opened to 3rd place, behind newcomers Big Fat Liar and Collateral Damage. It would gross around $9 million that first weekend. On its second weekend, the film disappeared out of the top 10, ranking in 13th place, somehow grossing another $3 million though. After 7 abysmal weeks in theaters, it would finish its box office run domestically with $18 million. Internationally, it would gross a meager $6 million, with the final worldwide total being $25 million. With a production budget of $70 million, this was considered a colossal flop. Critics and audiences ripped this film to shreds, with it currently sitting at a 3% on Rotten Tomatoes. The critics' consensus states, removing the social critique of the original, this updated version of Rollerball is violent, confusing, and choppy. Klein makes for a bland hero. Roger Ebert said it was an incoherent mess, a jumble of footage in search for a plot, meaning, rhythm, and sense. The film was nominated for several awards, including the Golden Raspberry Award for Worst Supporting Actress. Have no fear though, because Rebecca Romijn didn't walk away a winner here. No, that award went to Madonna for her cameo in Die Another Day. At the 2002 Stinkers Bad Movie Awards, an award show that ended in 2006, Rollerball won several awards, including Worst Director, Worst Remake, and Worst Female Fake Accent. Madonna once again beat out Rebecca Romijn though for Worst Actress, this time for her movie Swept Away. Man, 2002 wasn't kind to Madonna, was it?
In that case, if you don't want to eat it, you probably want to wear it. Now it doesn't look so bad, madam.
You blinded me!
So now you can bake the cake.
Rollerball was released on VHS and DVD in summer of 2002. Trying to cap on what most DVDs at the time were doing, it would be released as the R-rated version. So this would come packed with extras, including the Stunts of Rollerball feature, which this writer would say is the best of the bunch, an interactive yearbook, which is basically highlight reels of the cast, Rob Zombie's music video Never Gonna Stop, as well as a commentary from Rebecca, Chris, and LL Cool J. Unfortunately, John McTiernan doesn't add any insight to the making of the film. Having sat down and listened to the commentary, I can tell you it's the weakest bonus feature. There's no new perspective to gain from listening to it, so just avoid it. Unfortunately, DVD sales didn't improve this film's overall reception or legacy.
Would you like a drink of water?
The legacy of this film isn't it just being a bad film. As we mentioned before, John went to jail for his involvement in a wiretapping scandal. Crazy, right? During the production of Rollerball, McTiernan hired private investigator Anthony Pellicano to wiretap Charles Roven, a producer he worked with on the film. McTiernan was attempting to gain leverage in a professional dispute. When the FBI investigated Pellicano's activities, McTiernan initially denied his involvement. However, evidence eventually surfaced, proving that he had indeed hired Pellicano. McTiernan was charged with making false statements to the FBI and perjury. In 2006, he pleaded guilty to the charges, but later tried to withdraw his plea, claiming he had been misled by his legal counsel. This attempt was unsuccessful, and in 2010, McTiernan was sentenced to 1 year in federal prison, 3 years of supervised probation, and a $100,000 fine. He began serving his prison sentence in April 2013 and was released in February 2014.
This is my stance. I think if you're going to go to jail for a movie, which I wouldn't recommend, I would not recommend, this is not the movie that is worth.
But the question is this the version that he was fighting for?
He is so convinced that there was a conspiracy to ruin this movie that leads to him being behind bars.
So, what the happened to Rollerball? Well, despite high expectations of McTiernan's successful track record with action films, the 2002 remake was a critical and commercial failure. It suffered from a weak plot, lackluster performances, and excessive reliance on action sequences. It failed to capture the essence of the original film's social commentary, instead opting for mindless spectacle. Additionally, the production was plagued by issues, such as budget overruns, studio interference, and logistical challenges, including a director doing hard time. Ultimately, Rollerball serves as a cautionary tale of the pitfalls of Hollywood remakes and the importance of staying true to the spirit of the source material.
Where are we headed?
To a doctor to start with. And then if you're able, I thought I might take you home to my bed.